I will call the Thursday, January 23rd Hayes City Commission meeting to order. All commissioners are present. Mayor Jacobs is available by phone. Hello, Mayor Jacobs.
Hello.
Good. All right. First item on the order of business is the approval of the December 26 minutes. Any questions, changes, or comments on those? No changes?
None.
Have none.
Seeing none, they will stand as presented. Next up will be citizen comments on non-agenda items. Those who wish to speak during citizen comments, please keep it to about 5 minutes so that everybody who wants to speak has an opportunity to. And state your name for the record. So if anybody would like to speak citizen comments, now is your chance. Yeah, go ahead. And then please state your name for the record.
Hey, good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Justin Coitz, C-H-O-I-T-Z, citizen here in Hayes. Trying to keep it down to 5 minutes is going to be pretty tight. So, good job, Water Department, on getting the leak fixed the other day. That was a pretty impressive feat in the freezing temperatures. Along with everything else that has gone on nationally, I can really appreciate that the city of Hayes is taking significant steps to be a progressive community for Western Kansas. The addition of all the tall grass estates, the expansion of 22nd Street out there, and everything that's being developed on the east side of town is impressive. I think we're setting ourselves up for a lot of long-term success, especially when we capitalize on getting the R9 Ranch, finally getting that resolved and up here. One of the things that I wanted to ask you guys about is long-term plans for the city to support all this development that we're doing out east. In particular, my forte would probably be public safety. One of the issues that I do have questions and concerns about is how we're going to offer 100 and plus, close to 200 new houses. How is the city going to offer them fire protection? The city has recently completed and staffed the station out on the east end of town. I kind of think that supports the Smoky Hill edition. And I do know that a lot of consensus is that we're getting close to the end of where we can expand on the west end of town. With the staffing as it is now, does the commission understand exactly how many people we have on duty for the city of Hayes at a time? So I'm a very visual and tactile learner, and I've tried asking this to other people before, and I'm, like I said, I need to have visuals. So if you'll bear with me for just a second.
Yep.
Right now, the city of Hayes has staffing for 7 people. And I've got 7 squares of toilet paper. We've got one member that staffs the airport full-time whenever we've got SkyWest flights in there. So that leaves us with 6. We've got one of the squares that ends up being our shift commander. He's in charge of making sure that the day-to-days are done. Typically, we've got somebody, the city has somebody that's on time off, they're sick, at training, so that leaves you with 4 squares of toilet paper. Right now, we've got 2 of these firefighters that are out there at 41st Street, and you've got 2 firefighters that are down here at Main Street. With everything that's been going on, I don't believe that the city fire department is staffed to handle a significant incident, whether it's a mass casualty, whether it's, we count on a lot of mutual aid from the county. But looking back at, our most significant episodes were back in 21. April, we had the Country Club fire. The on-duty guys there, we had 3 structures damaged. The county was busy with their own stuff. Ellis County, Victoria, and Ellis City Fire Departments, they're the ones that we call on for backup. I don't think it's practical or reasonable to expect that they are there to help us out every time the city gets behind or overwhelmed with the staff that we've got on hand. If it was a business, if you're a restaurant, you don't call on the restaurant down the street to ask them for help, because if you're busy, they're busy. I would really like the city to focus and concentrate on what we're going to do, what the city's going to do to staff and protect the citizens out there on the eastern end of town. Because I don't think it's long before we realize that we've been just running on luck. So, and that's just my experience with it, my concern. Because I've been out in the community when we've had college graduations, we've had wrestling matches, and to turn around and expect 4 guys to be protecting the community, 21,000 plus the 4,000 or 5,000 that we've got visiting, I think really taxes where we're at. So appreciate the time. I hope I kept it under 5 minutes.
You're good, and I'm a tactile learner too, so I appreciate the visualization. No, I appreciate everything that you said, and we'll. It's definitely something that we'll continue to look into. So appreciate you letting in, giving us the feedback.
Because I know in September the city, you guys had discussed bringing on 7 full-time employees. I think you had discussed doing 4 for police department. I was surprised that there was no consideration or discussion about adding any firefighters. Because the last time there was any increase in the fire department staff was back, I think, in about 2001. And that was when the Smoky Hill edition was picking up steam and really starting to develop. And I know there's been multiple locations for fire stations throughout that time, but right now I think putting 2 firefighters and a lieutenant and a captain and 2 firefighters and then somebody out at the airport, I think that those resources are getting stretched pretty thin. And unfortunately, I would hate to see what happens if the help is not there for them to complete their jobs. We see the results of poor planning, lack of resources, damaged infrastructure with a lot of that stuff that's happening in California. And December of 21, 4 counties fire. April of 21. I mean, it's just a matter of time before we have a significant incident that really calls us to answer for our shortcomings.
Well, thank you again for the feedback, Justin.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Appreciate it very much.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for citizen comments? Friday, were you still wanting to speak?
Yeah, I thought, oh, so sorry, I sincerely apologize. I thought the meeting was supposed to start 4:15.
Oh, no.
Oh,
4 o'clock.
I was waiting just for you.
Oh, for me. Oh.
Yeah.
I sincerely apologize.
You're good. So,
About 5 minutes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or less. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. My name is Friday Otuya. I represent Nex-Tech as a community engagement specialist. I wanted to come around to say hello, quote unquote, to the city commissioners because since I started my role August of 2023, I haven't come around. I have a couple of items right here on my folder, which I'll just run through pretty quick. I just wanted to remind the community that we still have the Nex-Tech revolving loan fund. Well, through this fund, we support small businesses, so that they can expand and create jobs in the community. So we have the Nex-Tech revolving loan fund. We also have a fiber network in town. So we are telling members of the community to take advantage of it, to start businesses, to innovate, to take advantage of healthcare resources and things like that. So you can probably reach out to me later if you want to hear more about this. And then there is this, advocacy campaign we put out some information about, and that is the Universal Service Fund. It's essentially a federal fund that supports the deployment of broadband to high-cost areas, rural schools, rural libraries. And that fund is, coming under some pressure at the federal level. And we want community members to be aware of that fund and so that they can advocate on their behalf folks can reach out to the federal legislators, Congressman Tracy Mann, Senator Moran, and Senator Marshall about the fund, so that they can express their support for that fund, because it's essential to deploying broadband. And lastly, we have the Nex-Tech Academy, which is essentially a digital skills, digital training program of Nex-Tech. We launched it last fall, and we're organizing trainings around Northwest Kansas, around Central Kansas, helping community members to learn various skills pertaining to the digital world. So I just wanted to make sure I was here today to make this, known to the public and the city leadership, and you can feel free to reach out to Nex-Tech, myself, or any other Nex-Tech staff. I can see Aubrey right there. You can also reach out to Aubrey too. I'm so sorry I'm rushing because I came late. I apologize. I thought the meeting was supposed to start 4:15. But I'm going to leave this with the clerk if I can, so we can make reference to it later, and I'll give you the card too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for that update, and appreciate you letting us know all the good things you guys are working on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else who would wish to speak? Going once, going twice? Sold. All right, next up on the agenda is the consent agenda. We just have a few things, a quick claim deed and some mayoral appointment recommendations for the Hayes CVB, the Housing Authority Board, and the Northwest Kansas Corrections and Juvenile Services Board.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Musil, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Any comments or questions on that? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0, I'm assuming? I didn't hear a nay. Are you still there, Sandy?
I think she left after.
Oh, she's,
Left
okay.
after public comment, so four.
4-0.
4-0. All right. No unfinished business. Next up is the 32nd, 33rd Street Reconstruction Award of Bid. Jesse.
Good afternoon. Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. So, several items for me here today. The first being requesting an award of bid for contract for the reconstruction of 32nd, 33rd Street. General project location is 32nd, 33rd from Vine to Willow, or just west of Willow. Actually go to the alleyway on the west side of Willow. Here's just a few images of the concrete there. The concrete over the years has gotten to the point where we're beyond select panel replacement, and we've now got to pretty much redo the entire pavement within the street, as well as some select curb and other portions of the project. Here's just a couple more images here. So what does the project include? So we'll be replacing about 2,500 linear feet of concrete street pavement. There will also be various areas of curb and gutter replaced throughout the project. Those have been selected and are included in the design plans currently. Several curb ramps so that we're in compliance with the ADA. And then one important aspect of the project is to widen the north intersection of Skyline and 33rd. Where it narrows down, it's a pretty tight intersection there when cars are trying to turn onto that busy intersection. I do want to mention too, prior to the, well, I'll get to that in a second. I'll get that on this slide. So one thing I didn't show last week that I now kind of have a better feel for after speaking with the contractor last week, Friday actually, is kind of the schedule here. So obviously we're here January 23rd for award of bid. We do have a pre-construction meeting with staff, the engineer, and the contractor February 4th. We have a public open house scheduled for February 4th at 5 o'clock. Letters to all property owners adjacent to the project have been mailed as an invite to this open house meeting. So we're hoping to get quite a few at that meeting. That meeting will be held right here at City Hall, 5 o'clock that afternoon on the 4th. The contractor does plan to start construction mid-February, and as I mentioned last week, they're going to start with the drainage box extension there at Skyline and 33rd, extending that to the north. They can do that without disruption to traffic, without shutting down traffic, so it's work they can do in the little colder season here before they start the mainline concrete. So after that's done, hopefully by late March, weather is conducive to pavement removal and replacement. So their subcontractor, M&D here locally, they'll be doing pavement removal, getting the base where it needs to be, and then the contractor, Folks Parga, will be coming in and doing the pavement placement itself. They are hoping for project completion early July. Once the project gets going, it's going to move pretty quick. So back in 2024, we did solicit bids. We did receive 3 bids, as you can see on the screen here, with Folks Parga Construction LLC being the low of the 3 bids. Might not know the name Folks Parga. They have done some local projects here. They're actually out of Mound Ridge, Kansas. They've performed work in Hayes in the past, the last being the reconstruction of 43rd and 45th, west of Vine, basically the north side and south side of Walmart there. That project was redone in 2018. Very similar project. It was complete pavement removal and replacement as well. We are very satisfied with the contractor, and we've got nothing but high expectations for them and the project. This project is listed in the CIP for 2025, the adopted budget, and we had an estimated construction cost of $1.8 million, and the project as bid is approximately $245,000 under budget. Your options here today would be to award to Folks Parga Construction LLC as recommended, or reject bids and provide staff other direction, and this will be the action requested.
I move to authorize the city manager to enter an agreement with Volkswagen Construction LLC in the amount of $1,554,275.70 for construction services related to the reconstruction of 32nd and 33rd Street from Willow to Vine to be funded from Commission Capital Reserves.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrick, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Questions or comments for Jesse?
Just in that drainage box, are they just adding on to what we have, or will they remove it?
No, it's just adding on 8 to 10 feet to the north side, enough to get a little more width at that intersection, so that when someone is southbound on Skyline, as they are currently, if they're not hugging the curb to the west and someone tries to turn and go north, it's pretty tight. And so this will allow a little more expansion there at the intersection. And so, yeah, it's a minor extension of what's there. So everything that's there is in good shape and will remain.
Jesse, with the start of this, I know it's supposed to warm up next week, but if we were to fall back into these cold temps, does it halt the project at all or stall us?
No, we're not expecting to. This box construction, I mean, those are things they can do. I mean, if it's 30 degrees outside, they
Okay.
can do that sort of work. Kind of what's been happening out on 13th Street. They've been able to work on that project. This is a similar box extension as it is on that project. So,
Okay.
and then you know, as long as it's warm enough and adequate to do pavement placement, that would be the biggest thing. And even then, they can put pavement down at above freezing as well. But
Okay.
hopefully by the end of March. But by the time they're done with that box extension, originally that was to be done as kind of more towards the middle of the project, but they can come in early, get that done, knock it out, and be able to move on the project. That's kind of their plan. So.
Excellent. And I know you mentioned last week that you would try to do one-way traffic and maybe, sounded like maybe section it off. Is that still the plan?
Yes, and actually at the open house, we'll have a complete phasing plan.
Okay.
The engineer drawings include a phasing plan. There's 9 pages of the plan that are nothing but construction phasing, and all that will be available at the open house meeting.
Okay.
We will have one-way traffic on 33rd the entire project.
I don't know. On this
Yeah, hit the big phone button.
And the intersections of Fort and Willow will always have one of those open as well for that north and southbound traffic also. So it's actually a really good phasing plan, and it's hard to describe in words or
Yeah.
in a 5-minute discussion. But at the open house, like I say, we'll have prints of that for anyone who's interested and can walk anyone through that. So.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So shouldn't it hinder school traffic to and from the middle school then?
Right.
I mean, not-
depending on which way you're going, but
Yes.
exactly.
There'll be some maybe different flow of traffic, but you're saying you'll keep either Willow or Oak open, so one of
Willow
the
or
ends-
Fort will be open.
Okay, Willow or Fort.
at
Okay.
one time, so.
Okay.
Right. And,
Jesse, it does concern me with school being, I mean, if you go there at 8 o'clock in the morning, I mean, it is backed up from Vine to the drainage there for like 2 minutes. But you add construction, that makes me a little nervous. but I don't know what else you're gonna do. So-
I think some people may just have to find a different route.
Well, I agree. It's a mess right around the schools there. It's hard.
And
to-
we're very fortunate to have 37th Street now.
Yes,
as
we
an
are,
option That we
yeah.
didn't have before.
And the people on 37th aren't excited about it at all, just so you know. So, but what do you do? So,
The good news will be it's really only 2 months of in-school
Right.
traffic, and
That's right.
then we'll flow into summer.
That's correct.
So,
exactly. Yep.
yeah.
Commissioner Reuter, Mayor Jacobs said she couldn't hardly hear, so she
Oh, okay.
apologized.
Thank you. Jesse, between Fort and Ash, the alley that comes out there, I drive that road every single day, and it's got some like a dip, I guess is what I'd call it,
Oh,
but it's
yes.
only on the eastbound side.
Yes.
Is that something that is necessary for drainage, or is that going to be readjusted for?
That is part of the plan to be readjusted there as well.
Okay.
There'll be a valley there, but it won't be that aggressive dip like we have right now. That was part of our original discussion with the engineer as they designed the project.
I know my kids love it because they get to fly up.
Yeah.
It's like a roller coaster, but I think it'd be.
Yes, we have addressed that.
I don't love it.
I know my vehicle would appreciate it. Okay. Any additional questions or comments for Jesse on this one? Okay. If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye. All opposed? Passes 4-0. Next up, we have the 32nd, 33rd Street Reconstruction Construction Engineering Services Agreement. Jesse again.
Okay, well, now that you've approved that, we can move on to the construction and engineering services agreement. That'll be part of the work, as the work's going on for the reconstruction project. So we've already talked about the project location. So Driggs Design Group here in Hayes did design, engineer the project. And as part of this, as is typical for this size of project, they will perform construction engineering services throughout the duration of the project. You can see on the screen what that includes. So they'll be on site daily. If the contractor's on site, the staff with Driggs Design Group will be on site. They have the ability in-house to do testing of soil, subgrade, and concrete. They have a local lab here to do concrete breaks for us as required. And then they'll continue throughout the project, do shop drawing review and approval. And as the months go by after the contractor, they'll help the city staff prepare pay applications so we can get the contractor paid. So I already mentioned the budget and that we came in about $245,000 under budget. This 52,320 is coming out of the same fund, and so that drops down to about 193-ish or so. Remaining revenue will be under budget by about that amount, assuming you approve the engineering services contract. Your options on here: approve the construction engineering services agreement as recommended, or do not, and this would be the action requested.
I move to approve the construction engineering services agreement with Driggs Design Group in the amount of $52,320 for the reconstruction of 32nd, 33rd Street to be funded from the City Commission Capital Reserve Fund.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Musil. Additional questions or comments for Jesse on this one?
So just, they're doing soil testing and things as the construction is going on. Is it basically after you rip out the old concrete stuff that they then sample directly
Right, so yeah,
underneath
so-
where the road previously was?
Right, so yeah, after pavement's removed, base material will also be removed and replaced, and then that base they do compaction testing with the nuclear density gauge on the actual base. We require a minimum 95% compaction on the base before placing concrete. So all along the project, before the new concrete's placed, that'll occur on the base itself.
So they're not worried about the soils having changed underneath the road in the past.
Right, it's really soil.
They're just
compaction.
waiting, they're waiting for compaction of the base before.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
And you said this road was built in the 60s, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe I want to say 63 or 64.
And I know they provide LiDAR. Are we utilizing LiDAR for this project at all? Or is it necessary?
That I don't know that they are on this one.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments on this one? Okay, if not, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Next, the annexation of property located at 800A Commerce Parkway, Brexico LLC.
Okay, well, moving on to a different item here. This is to request from the commission annexation of the property at 800A Commerce Parkway. So the location of the property, it is on the east side of Commerce Parkway, just north of East 8th Street or Highway 40, north of the railroad tracks there, as you can see on the picture on the left. Picture on the right, I've got two different colored boxes there. The red box shows the kind of the parent tract, and then back in late 2024, there was a lot split approved, and so the area you see kind of in the light blue color, that was actually split out, and that area in blue, that box in blue, that's what we're talking about tonight as we're requesting annexation. So as I mentioned, we did receive an application, a request from the owner. State law provides for both consensual and non-consensual annexations. This is consensual annexations. Those are the ones we like to do because it's not, those are requests coming to us asking to be annexed into the city. The property is contiguous with city limits, which does make a difference in how easy an annexation process is. That's one of the easiest types to do. It is currently zoned light industrial, and the use on the property currently fits the current zoning. The other thing we look at when we're deciding whether or not to recommend annexation is what services are available to the property. So this one currently has a street. Of course, Commerce Parkway runs in front of the property. However, water and sewer are also available and ready for connection in front of the property without any main extensions required. Then I already mentioned the lot split that was approved back in November of 24. Here's just a boundary survey that we require before an annexation. Again, you can see kind of the long rectangular tract there, and we're focusing on the kind of the western third or so or fourth of that entire tract. Your options are pretty simple, either annex as requested or do not. And if you so choose, this is the ordinance that would do so, and I'd stand for any questions.
I'll make a motion we adopt ordinance number 4067, annexing a property located at 800A Commerce Parkway as legally described within the adopting ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Muschel, second by Commissioner Barrick. Additional questions or comments on this annexation?
Just makes sense.
Pretty
Makes sense,
straightforward.
just for question. That lot was split out, which is why that one's asking to be annexed. Is that the main reason, or is there a reason why they didn't want annexation of the whole property?
One of the primary reasons for annexation is access and connection to city utilities. There were some septic issues on the property, and it was either invest a whole lot of money in a new septic system or connect to the city sewer that's directly in front of their property. So that's when the request came. So we can talk about the sewer connections, and along with that, the water connections will come as well. And so that was kind of the precursor for the request to start with. So.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Not, I'll call for a vote on this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Need a water, Jesse? Getting tired of talking?
Right here.
Okay, next up,
this week.
yeah. Next up is the Tallgrass 4th Edition rezoning request from Agricultural District AL and Residential General RG to Residential Multifamily RM.
We're halfway done here, so. So the next one, want to request or talk about request of an rezoning for the Tallgrass 4th Edition. We want to consider rezoning that from Ag and RG district to the requested RM or residential multifamily. The property in question is located on the north side of 22nd, just east of Wheatland Avenue. You can see the picture on the right, the red box there kind of outlines the subject property of the zoning itself. Just below that red box, you see those three cul-de-sacs there. That was the most recent development, the workforce housing there done by Grow Hayes. All those lots are currently filled. Everyone has a house on it. So this is just kind of a continuation of that housing project there. This map shows, look at the picture on the left here, shows the current zoning of the property. So there's 3 colors within that box. The green is the ag zone district. Purple color is the RM, or the residential multifamily, and then we have the blue, which is residential general. The request has been to rezone the entire property to residential multifamily. The picture on the right, again, you can see the area of the rezoning within the red box there, but it also provides the approximate layout, and we'll talk about more on the layout on the next agenda item when we talk about the plat. So this image here, anytime we do rezoning, we have to take into consideration the comprehensive plan, and within the comprehensive plan, we have the future land use map. So this is a snip from the map out of the comprehensive plan, and as you can see, it shows that orange color is medium density residential. So the request, what we're trying to decide is does the request meet the intent of the future land use map? And in this case, it does. Medium density residential is exactly what they're proposing out there. And I do want to mention that, you know, even though it's residential multifamily, it does allow single family homes. So as you can see here, these are the uses by right within the RM zoning district. Anything from apartments, public utilities, that 5th bullet point there, a single family detached. That is the primary focus of this. That's what we expect to be built out there on the lots, and once you see the lot sizes in the next agenda item, you'll kind of see how that lays out there. Besides uses by right, we also have limited uses within our regulations. These are uses that would also be allowed on the property. However, with each of these, the regulations have certain limitations. Anything from maybe restrictions on parking, type of street they must front, different setbacks, things like that. But these can be approved administratively if there's a desire from the developer to build these sort of things. And then the last group are uses by exception. If any of these were to be proposed, this would take a public hearing in front of the Board of Zoning, notification of surrounding property owners as well, and not too often we see these types of exception uses. So with the zoning, state statute gives the governing body 3 very specific options, and so the 3 here, you can approve the zoning as was approved by the Planning Commission. I do want to mention that the Planning Commission did approve this at the public hearing by a vote of 6-0. You could also send the request back to the Planning Commission for further consideration. If you do so, you have to provide specific basis for additional action from the Planning Commission. Or you could deny the rezoning request, and if you do that, it would require a 2/3 majority vote to overturn the Planning Commission recommendation. This would be the action requested. So.
I move we adopt ordinance number 4068, approving the rezoning request from Agricultural District AL and Residential General RG to Residential Multifamily RM for Tallgrass 4th Edition as legally described within the adopting ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrick, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Questions or comments on this item?
I think more just comment. I mean, we're all excited about this. Doug said now 103 lots, right? So did that grow from last week?
101.
101 right now.
I thought it was like up to 106 by now.
So it's exciting, and I hope it continues to fill in as fast as the others did. Toby, I do have a question for you that Resident Coyte's brought up. What are you in the next, if this fills in the next 5 years, on public safety, where are we at on that? Do you feel comfortable where we're at right now?
Absolutely. We're always evaluating our future
Right.
needs for public safety, but we are right now an ISO rating of 2, which is the second highest you can get. I think we're in the top 5% in the state on ISO ratings. That just got renewed, and we actually crept up a little bit.
Good.
We do have limited sources. We don't have unlimited funds, but we have limited sources. But we have lots of pots we can pull from to pull things together, pulling off-duty people in, mutual aid agreements, things like that. So there will be a time we will need to expand east. We know that the airport fire station was designed to add on to. You have your FAA side, and it was designed to add on to with the private side, and that'd probably be targeted at some point in the future and put on the capital improvement plan, and then it's figuring out how to pay for it. And then that would provide coverage for the east side of town. and would require more staffing to staff it as well.
Well, let's get them filled. Worry about that. Hopefully sooner than later. But, okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Piggybacking off that, to expand the airport one on the regular fire station side, do we know how big that would be? Estimated cost, anything right now, or is those just?
No, well, we don't know how much we would need. It'd be a satellite station, so what we built previously was a headquarters station, so a lot more to it. This would be a satellite station, so essentially what we built was designed for the FAA side.
Okay.
Because the FAA paid 90% of that, but we would have to build something that would serve our side, so sleeping quarters, living quarters, bays, pretty much everything you would expect in a fire station, but adjoined to that station, then with a separate exit so they could get, out. The current airport station's designed to it's on the airfield, so it's designed to get on, so a separate exit designed to get out. But it would be easily, $3.5 to $4 million probably.
That's what I needed to know.
I just didn't know if it's more of needing a facility and human resources, or if it's just a matter of we'll need more human resources, but the facilities we have are all right, but we would just need more human resources, or do we need more? Would we actually need more facilities?
When you would expand, you would need both. The last staffing increase took place in the early 2000s in anticipation of another station being added that wasn't added until 2 years ago. But we added the staff back then. They were talking about adding another station, but we are at the point though. If you add another station, you will need to add more people. And I can't even weigh in on the equipment, whether you have equipment to staff another station. But I do know we would need more people to do another station.
Is an additional truck $1.5 million?
It's not that much. I mean, a ladder truck, depending on what you buy, could easily be that. But pumpers are going to be in the $750,000 range probably.
And unfortunately, you can't just hire people to sit around and wait. Any business, you always need more people when you're busy, but it's hard to just hire people just to sit and be there because it costs money. So
it's kind of a balancing act. I mean, if you look at the city services they provided, we have parks and fire and police and streets and, a lot of demands on resources. And so you try to balance your resources based off of revenues to provide the best coverage in all of them you can. And I mean, we have a wonderful fire department right now. And,
yeah, we do.
but we also have, good police services, good streets, good parks.
It's just a matter of where we're expanding. It's just planning to be prepared for it, so we're ready. We're not caught off guard. That we need to prepare for it.
And these conversations are being had, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And that ISO rating, how often is that updated and looked at?
Every 3-5 years, something
Okay.
like that. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Sure.
I know it's not every year, I don't believe.
No.
Right, okay.
Any additional questions or comments on this rezoning? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 4-0. Next up, Tallgrass 4th Edition Final Plat.
All right, the next step in this particular development would be approval and acceptance of the final plat. That'll allow subdivision of the property. So again, we're talking about the same property we just discussed for the rezoning. So, and I know this is very hard to read and you can't read all the fine print here, but kind of want to give you a general idea of the layout of the property. So I already mentioned there's 101 lots planned for this development. They're approximately average 60 foot wide, 115 foot deep or so. So very typical of lots we've seen within the last couple subdivisions here in Hayes. This 101 lot development is about twice the size of the development of the Grove that you approved here several months ago. So it's a large development for us here in the city of Hayes, and one we're excited about seeing getting going. You also notice there's an access point onto Wheatland Avenue on the west side of the development, and then there's 2 access points to the east. It's currently an ag field, however, it's not unheard of that we could see development of that property to the east at some point in the future. So here again, I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit bigger image. Picture on the left is the north half of the development. Picture on the right would be the southern half. everything at the far bottom, the picture on the right, the far bottom there, I talked about those 3 cul-de-sacs earlier that are already developed. So this abuts that north cul-de-sac there and the developed property. So there are also things to point out here. There's some stormwater detention as required here in this corner here, and then this drainage ditch that currently runs the entire length of Wheatland does continue and ends here where Cumberland will intersect with Wheatland. So this was ready before the Planning Commission, as all plats are required to be. The Commission also approved this plat by a vote of 6-0. You tonight have the options of approving it as was submitted and recommended by the Planning Commission. If you see any changes or considerations for change on the plat, you can make those changes or simply not approve the plat. We have drafted a resolution for approval in your packet, and this would be the action requested.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-001, accepting the Tallgrass 4th edition final plat.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Musil, second by Commissioner Barrick. Questions or comments on the plat?
And this may be more of a question for Toby, but Jesse, do you anticipate with this development that Wheatland will need to be looked at for any kind of upgrade or anything in the near future?
So Wheatland was just improved from 22nd Street to the almost to this point here. Along with this project, Wheatland will be constructed
On
to
out.
match the profile
Okay.
of that street that was just done to the end of this particular development, to line up with the intersection there where Cumberland and Wheatland meet. So
Perfect.
that'll be part of the construction of this project. I do know that the developer intends to, as of right now anyway, construct the entire development as one project. Again, it's a much bigger project than we've seen in the past, and but very doable. But they want to come in and, rather than try and do it in phases, they can mobilize a contractor in, build the streets, water, sewer, everything in one shot, and then be ready for building. So we would anticipate that to happen begin in late 2025 or so.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Additional questions or comments?
Well, I think we talked about the naming of the streets last time. Sean just brought up, he'd really like to see one of these streets, Cumberland could be changed to
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. Don't listen.
It's not about Musil, but I was thinking it might be Metamucil Way. Right over the drainage.
I've never heard that one before. Moving on.
The regular. Oh my, anyways.
You may have not listened to what I said, but yeah.
Accepting no comments like that, we'll move on to the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Next, Tallgrass 4th Edition Engineering Services Agreement. Last one,
Last
Jesse.
item for me today. So the last step for now in this Tallgrass 4th Edition would be
Appreciate
to get your approval for the engineering services agreement so they can begin design of the infrastructure. I think we all know where the property is by now. So again, we've just talked about the plating and zoning already. And those 101 lots do lie on approximately 28 acres. Within that, for this project, there's about 4,500 foot of waterline, sewer, and street improvements that will need to be completed, with construction hopefully to start fall or winter of 2025. So at this time, we have received a contract for engineering services from Sloan Engineering and Consulting. That would include the civil engineering design for all that infrastructure I just mentioned. They would assist in contractor bid solicitation once the plans are ready for that. And then once bid, they would help review bids and provide a final recommendation letter to staff and the governing body. The contract for design is for an amount not to exceed $249,850. So here's just an estimated schedule. They are ready to kick this off here early February with design. I think kind of in the background while this is happening, there's also an RHID that's in the process as well that you'll be hearing more about in the next couple of months. And if you look down at the bottom, by October or so, we are compiling the bids that were received and bringing an award, recommendation of award to you, the city commission. The cost for engineering services would be funded out of capital projects. And again, I mentioned the overall project will be funded with an RHID, which would include these engineering services. So your options are to either approve the engineering agreement or not. This is what we're requesting.
I move to approve the engineering services agreement with Sloan Engineering and Consulting in the amount of $249,850 for the infrastructure design of Tallgrass 4th Edition to be paid by a 30% pre-construction agreement deposit from Heart of America.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Barrick. Questions or comments on this?
Pretty excited about it.
All right. Then I will call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Just-
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, thank you.
Just before you leave, thank you, your department. You guys have been a little busy the last couple of weeks, and everybody did a great job, so thank you.
All right, well, thank you. I'll pass that on.
Thank you, Jesse.
You got busy. You got, from the other thing, you got a meeting on February 3rd and then another one on February 4th. You're going to be like meeting out that week.
He's used to it.
Next up on the agenda is a progress report. Mr. Collin.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. So in the 2025 budget was a new brine production system, which it was installed just in time for the first winter storm. So this does replace a 20-year-old unit, and this new one is automated and can produce between 5,000 to 6,000 gallons per hour compared to the 1,000 gallons per hour that the old system could do.
Hey, Colin, can you restate that instead of saying the first winter storm? You could just say that the only winter storm?
The only winter storm.
Thank you.
So far.
As long as we get rain too, though. The clean out process with this, though, the old one used to take a half a day and required 2 employees, and now this can be done in 20 minutes with 1 employee. Back in December, there was a water main break near 11th and Main Street, excuse me, and obviously they had to dig a hole in there. But if you look at the picture on the right, I don't think you could tell that there was a water main break there. So they did re-pour the concrete and put the bricks back. Service division employees did assist the airport in helping pour the front approach to the Kansas Highway Patrol hangar, which is currently under construction. This is a component of the project that we agreed to help with for cost reasons, and we have the staff that can do that small of a project. We did have the first and only snow event of the winter.
Thank you.
Public Works crews did run 24-hour shifts from about Saturday 9 p.m. to Tuesday around 4 p.m., focusing on priority 1, priority 2, downtown and school zone areas. They used 41,000 gallons of salt brine, which is 41 tons of salt, 50 yards of sand, and another 145 tons of salt for the sand-salt mix. Over 550 gallons of fuel was used for it, and then over almost 237 overtime hours for just Public Works. But of course, other departments also were involved in that. But it was a taxing event for sure. Staff continue to remove trees with the tree spade in the municipal golf course. So basically, the tree spade removes the plug and goes to the tree farm to pick up a tree to set in the hole. And then the crew comes in later to build a berm and add mulch around the newly placed tree to hold water. Staff are performing corrective pruning to trees and parks. This promotes proper shaping of the tree and removes problematic sharp branching that can lead to breakage as it continues to grow. Parks Department also assists with the equipment they have to do snow removal, so they're able to clear obviously City Hall, CVB, and then they also, for various departments, assisted with removal at the airport for the airport parking lot. And then the bison did enjoy some fresh hay following the snowstorm, the only one of the year. McGruff the crime dog made an appearance at the Fort Hays State University mascot night. We were able to, in late December, celebrate the retirement of Tim Huck, who was our water production distribution superintendent. He retired with 31 years of service with the city. Terracon has completed their geotechnical survey drilling down at the R9 Ranch. The results of this survey will provide engineers with the soil composition and profile, which will then be used by engineers to locate and design the well-field infrastructure based on the soil type and profile. Back to the 11th and Main water main break, here you can see the water resources guys that were working on it before it got poured over. And you can actually see the hole that happened on the pipe on the left-hand picture that at the bottom of the pipe. On January 10th through 12th, Janet Kuhn promoted Hayes in Northwest Kansas at the International Sportsman Expo in Denver. And then the Kansas Tourism Sunflower Summer app, which allows Kansas families to visit state attractions, museums, and historic sites for free. 3 attractions in Hayes were registered with this program. And the stats show the tickets that were claimed and reimbursement that was awarded to those 3 entities through that program.
You think that Sternberg would get a few more, you know, would step it up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll work on it next year.
Okay.
The CV worked with local attraction businesses to promote indoor activities in Hayes in a new winter commercial. This might help.
When the chill of winter sets in, head to Hayes for plenty of indoor adventures for the whole family. Soak up local culture in art galleries and museums, and even go back in time to discover the stories that shaped our town. When it's time to break for a bite, treat yourself to some great local dishes that are sure to hit the spot. With so many options for indoor entertainment, Hayes ensures that family fun never has to take a snow day. Plan your trip at visithays.com.
The 13th Street reconstruction project continues to move along. It's been reopened to one-way traffic this week, and work will continue on the north box extension and backfill, and stormwater piping and inlets will begin to be installed soon as well. We're doing a few fire hydrant replacements. J-Corps has replaced approximately half of the 14 total fire hydrants that need replaced for this year. We expect it to be wrapped up in about 3-4 more weeks. Just for some context, there's approximately 1,100 hydrants in the city, so they are well maintained. And then the Kansas Highway Patrol hangar project at the airport continues to take shape. Any questions?
Questions for Colin?
Good stuff.
Appreciate the progress.
Thank you.
Next up, Hayes happenings and events.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon, Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, with some things coming up in February that I want to be sure you are aware of. First, the Sternberg Museum of Natural History has a new exhibit. This traveling exhibit focuses on an exciting quest for clean water, which we all know is so important. This starts in February and it should run through mid-May. The local Hayes Big Creek Longbeards Chapter 19 will have their National Wild Turkey Federation banquet. This is an event that's open to the public. It's fundraising for conservation. Includes silent and live auctions and raffle. That'll be February 1st out at the Ellis County Fairgrounds buildings. The Fox Theater is presenting 2 concerts, which are already both sold out. So next slide. Here, just know there's going to be a great crowd both of those nights in town.
That's awesome.
Night to Shine, fantastic prom event for our IDD community, will be February 7th at Celebration Community Church. Thank you to the hundreds of volunteers that come together to make that event possible in Hayes.
And that's the 10th annual?
I don't know, is it?
I don't
For
know.
Hayes?
8th?
It's been going on for
10 years, 8
in Hayes.
Okay.
In Hayes. Thank you, Sarah.
I knew I heard 10 somewhere. So. All right, thank you.
Nice. And thank you to the Chamber for hosting another legislative coffee coming up February 8th at Hayes Public Library, 8:30 to 10. So bring your questions for your legislators. They'll be there to present what's going on in the legislature right now, but what I love is you get to ask your questions. United Way of Ellis County will present their fundraiser, Dueling Pianos, February 8th, also out at Ellis County Fairgrounds in the Schenck Building. And the Hayes Symphony will present a very special concert, the Fort Hays State Arias and Concertos. These are the students who have won their respective competitions, and then they perform. It's very, very entertaining. February 15th at Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. There's a lot of Fort Hays State basketball happening in February, the 6th, the 8th, the 20th, 22nd, and 26th, and then some special events that go along with those basketball games. Victor E. Tiger is turning 25, and so after the February 22nd game, they're going to have a lot of activities for families and kids, games, treats, face paintings, photos with Victor E. You just need your game ticket to be able to participate. Another special game I want to let you know about. This was rescheduled due to weather. Airport sponsoring this basketball game, and they'll be giving away 4 round-trip tickets to Denver, 2 at each halftime promotion. The 32nd annual Smoky Hill Pheasants Forever chapter 424, will have their banquet February 22nd, also out at Ellis County Fairgrounds. Again, this is open to the public, fundraising for conservation. They'll have social games, dinner, auction. And then the Chamber in Hayes will host their 37th annual Ag Appreciation to say thank you to our agriculture community for all they do for our community and our economy. February 27th, also out at Ellis County Fairgrounds. And we're very excited to welcome Keisha State Wrestling back to Hayes. With the addition of the girls' competition, we're expecting 25 to 35% more attendees and athletes. That'll be at Gross Memorial Coliseum, February 28th, March 1st. And we have already let our restaurants know to be ready for a great busy weekend. This weekend in Hayes is the Bob Coon Prairie Classic at Hayes High. So that event will welcome about 200 wrestlers and all the people they bring with them to town. That's all I have for you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, next up, commission inquiries and comments. Commissioner Musil.
I just want to thank city staff, Toby, your staff. The last couple of weeks has been a little crazy in our community. There's a lot of people, I guess you would say online, question everything we do, but there's been a lot of people, as we all know, have reached out and very positive about how things were handled. And then after the first and only snowstorm, we have a water craze event, and the way you guys handled everything and how fast, everything was taken care of, and those same people that were out there, clearing the snow were also out there in the ridiculously cold temperatures, fixing this, and I just kudos to you guys, and kudos to the residents of our community, how I think pleasant they, reacted to it. So I just thank you guys for everything you did, and I know we've all told you that many times, but it's just publicly, I think people need to know how much time and effort. It wasn't just the guys driving the, the dump trucks and stuff. It was the secretaries answering the phone calls and stuff. So you guys did a great job, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Berg.
I would just reiterate that. I'll take a little bit of responsibility because I saw Toby at a Fort Hays basketball game, and I called him and I said, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I think there's been a water line break or something." That was like the day before it actually happened. So
Your fault.
it's my fault. I take responsibility for that. I'm very sorry, but things never happen at a time when it's easy and when it's that cold. The Jeff and the whole departments just did an amazing job, and I think the communication to get out to everybody went really well, and you could tell because all the water bottles were sold out of every place in Hayes within about 30 minutes of
That was crazy.
Monday morning. So, but it just shows that the whole city can come together and in a positive way when we have issues like that. And I just appreciate the city and appreciate everybody that lives in the city for the response to those situations.
Yeah.
Mr. Cunningham.
And tagging on to that, those events are stressful for not only those that have to work it, but the community members. It's stressful to deal with yourself. And so, obviously we saw some of that stress come out in social media, but I just want to thank those that reached out individually to me. I feel like we had great discussions and lots of information was exchanged, and I felt like it was really informative. And I think perspective was gained from that. And so I really, really appreciate anytime anybody wants to reach out, and I like to gain your perspective, and then it's nice to share information. So thank you for that. And then obviously, yes, thank you to our employees who bared the brunt of that and all the labor that they put into that. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll just kind of echo and finalize that as well. What staff had to go through, for 24 hours straight, shifting it out, taking care of how many miles of roads do we have?
120 something.
120 miles of road. That's quite a feat to take care of in a short amount of time. Trying to make sure that everything's as open as possible. I had talks with other communities that I deal with, in Kansas City and Lawrence and Wichita, and asked them how they were doing, and they were like, "Yeah, we actually went and visited family in Hayes," and we're like, "I wish we had crews like yours that were able to clear the streets as well," because they're like, "Man, our main streets aren't even as clear as some of your, priority 2 roads," which is that's a good thing to hear, that our crews do such a good job with the limited resources that they have, and then the community for reaching out and letting us know things that that they would like to see addressed or worked on. We take that after every single event that we have like this and go back and review, because it would not be smart to plan if you just, well, the event's done, don't think about it till the next time. No, we're constantly thinking, okay, what went well, what needs improved on. So I appreciate staff immediately starting to take those notes and work on what needs to happen next. So thank you guys for having to deal with that. And again, for how quickly you're able to deal with something that I've never seen in our community with the boil water advisory. That was something, that quick turnaround, and the communication that we got was amazing. And again, highlighting something that we haven't seen before, but now we know, exactly what it takes, where we need to improve upon, and it's phenomenal. We were able to do that, and do that without any issues beyond what it was. So staff working out in that, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Last thing I want to do is, and on a positive note too, congratulations to the Child Care Task Force of Ellis County. They were awarded today a $30,000 grant that will help with continued education, promotion and awareness for parents and providers in the community for addressing the child care crisis that we have. So that is a phenomenal group that's doing amazing work, and we're so lucky to have them, and they are being looked at as, one of the groups to imitate across the state. So they're doing amazing work, and can't wait to see what they have coming next.
Commissioner, isn't it amazing how you brought this up 2 years ago, I think, about this, just discussion of childcare, and then how fast they've all ran with it and what they've done.
They took it and they ran with it. They're
Just-
doing an amazing job.
Just amazing when you bring something up, how people, grab onto it. So kudos to you. I know I've told you before,
thanks.
but kudos.
Thank you. That's all them. I didn't.
No.
I can talk a lot. People don't know. doesn't mean I'm saying anything good, that's for sure.
You did.
Any executive sessions or anything? Okay, if not, then we will adjourn at 5:03 p.m.